attack and we lose our power, we lose our...
Because God is God and knows God. Dear friends, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. This is how we know that we live in him and he in us. He has given us of his Spirit. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us. Let us love one another, for love comes from God. Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world.
Violence is creating some violence in the air. So I want to answer and I want to respond thoroughly. Plus, dabble. All right, guys, happy Tuesday. Happy Election Day. I hope you are wearing all red like I'm wearing all red. The question of the day today is, what do I really think about?
There's just not enough to go around, at which point it becomes the thing that stands between you and actual chaos. Are they not?
Once respected school, parents across the country should be shocked and horrified to see there's a conservative legal foundation. Suit was filed, they say, on behalf of 11 courageous parents like yourself.
100 or 200 of them out there, because what you're doing is wrong, and I'm not going to tolerate it. By the way, I'm the law in this county, not you. This is not an Article 6 issue. This is not a supremacy clause issue. This is what you're doing is unjust, and so we're not going to allow it in our county. You can do that with the banks that are doing financing of these groups. Hey, you want to finance Communist China through BLM? Then your bank will shut down. We're shutting this branch down. So if you want to operate,
It's finally Thanksgiving again. You guys know I love Thanksgiving so much for tons of reasons. It's finally Thanksgiving again. You guys know I love Thanksgiving so much for tons of reasons. It's the one holiday that I host at my house every year. I take it very seriously. Thing that I loved was yesterday on the show, I dropped a little silent bomb. You know, I talked about the letter Q, and the comments were really funny listening to people grapple with this conversation I have with my husband. One commenter said, Candace definitely was high. And I was not high. I don't smoke pot. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I was just on a walk with my husband with our 2 kids, and I needed to share my heart with him. And my heart told me that the letter Q is redundant. All I do, guys, is tell the truth. Like I had to bring you this because it's been bothering me, and I felt encouraged to say. To him that day, and I felt encouraged to tell you yesterday that Q is an unnecessary letter. There's no word that you cannot create that begins with the letter Q. You don't need the Q, right? Quick. You could just spell it Kwik. Somebody in the one holiday that I host at my house every year, I take it very seriously. I go out and I make sure we have all the right plates and all the right spoons and the right flowers, the right settings. I mean, every detail is planned out. And then I cook. This year, actually, we are doing a fried turkey because I met someone in the South who said, "Have you ever tried fried turkey?" And we said no, and then we tried it and realized that we couldn't ever live without it. In fact, notoriously, you guys know that I hate turkey, and I think that we should instead do chicken on Thanksgiving. But the solve to that is, in fact, a fried turkey. So I asked you about your Thanksgiving traditions, and I told you about mine last year. And so for every Thanksgiving episode, we are going to do that tradition live. So our family tradition is that we go around the room and we say what we are grateful for the year past. It seems like such a simple thing, but it is so important. I mean, how often not only think about, but then write about all of the things that you are grateful for. And then share those things. Actually say out loud, "Hey, today I am grateful for this." It's not something we do often because, well, there's a lot of things not to be happy about. There are a lot of complaints that we make, and rightfully so. It almost feels like we're losing our country. But I think that's why I love Thanksgiving so much, because it sort of forces me to pause and to put my head up.
Where you're born.
So if you want
no
to
matter
operate,
where you're from, if
you
you're
need to
living here
shut
today,
this off. You got
it's
2
in
hours.
your interest to turn
There
off
are
the
a lot of
spigot
ways to do it.
tomorrow.
A lot of ways to make people
really smart point.
unwelcome.
And you're seeing
And
a
if
lot of
that
people,
makes people listening or
immigrants even,
viewing what
arriving
we're
in that
doing right
same
here
conclusion.
uncomfortable.
A tumultuous year in Loudoun County.
Who are we?
Notify me. I'm going to put 20 deputies in front of this
destroying
guy's
a man.
house. And
Notoriously, you guys know that I hate turkey, and I think that we should instead do chicken on Thanksgiving. And then share those things. Actually say out loud, "Hey, today I am grateful for this." It's not something we do often because, well, there's a lot of things not to be happy about. There are a lot of complaints that we make, and rightfully so. It almost feels like we're losing our country. But I think that's why I love Thanksgiving so much, because
Where you're born.
So if you want to
no matter
operate,
where you're from,
then
if
you
you're
need to
living here
shut
today,
this off. You got
it's
2
in
hours.
your interest to turn
There are
off
a
the
lot of
spigot
ways to do it.
tomorrow.
A lot of ways to make people
really smart point.
unwelcome.
And you're seeing
And
a
if
lot
that
of
makes people listening or
immigrants even,
viewing what
arriving
we're
in that
doing right
same
here
conclusion.
uncomfortable,
Exactly right.
then all I would ask is,
Where you're from,
then
if
you
you're
need to
living here,
you can do
it's
that with the
trust.
banks
It's
that
the
are
ability
doing in this
Immigration,
county,
soul
not
trust
you.
is all you have. If
This
there
is
are
not
generations,
an
then we
Article
lose
6
our
issue.
power, we lose
This
our
is
water,
not a
we lose our
supremacy
infrastructure,
clause
we lose our
issue.
electricity.
This is what you're doing is
What keeps us
unjust.
from
And
riots
so
and
we're not going to
looting
allow it in
and
our
from
county.
madness?
You can do
It's
that with the
trust.
banks
It's
that
the
are
ability
doing
to know
financing
the people
of
that you
these
are living in
groups.
the
Hey,
community
you
with
want to
will take
finance
care of each
Communist
other and
China
protect
through
each other.
BLM?
And
Then your
uncontrolled
bank
migration
will shut
makes us a
down in our
nation of
county. We're
strangers. So
shutting this
again, I don't
branch
care
down.
where you're born.
So if you want
no
to
matter
operate,
where you're from,
then
if
you
you're
need to
living here
shut
today,
this off. You got
it's
2
in
hours.
your interest to turn
There
off
are a
the
lot of
spigot
ways to do it.
tomorrow.
A lot of ways to make people
really smart point.
unwelcome.
And you're seeing
And
a
if
lot of
that
people,
makes people listening or
immigrants even,
viewing what
arriving
we're
in that
doing right
same
here
conclusion.
uncomfortable,
Exactly right.
then all I would ask is, it's fine that you're uncomfortable, get out of the way,
Stephen, I want to
because
talk
there's a
to you
war on
first
and we
because
don't need you in the
you,
middle.
working
If
with
you're
Donald
not sure
Trump,
what's
had
actually
done
going
yeoman's
on,
work in
because we're
actually
on the
securing and
precipice
locking
of
down the
losing.
border. It was moving in the right
Here's
direction. It was
another
more
example.
safe. But Biden
In
comes
December,
in, and
I
behind the
briefed
scenes,
the
he brought in
governor who asked me
Obama's
to come
former
in
regulatory
because
czar,
they're
a guy named
getting
Cass
refugees,
Sunstein,
Afghan
to
refugees,
undo
into
everything
their
that you've done
community.
so far.
And first thing
And
I
the
showed
Department
him
of
was
Justice
like,
is trying to
here are the
untangle
Al-Qaeda,
the
Hezbollah,
prohibitions and the
ISIS,
lockdown
and
of what you actually
Hamas
accomplished in the Trump
operatives
administration.
wearing
Explain that
suits
further to people.
operating inside
Yes,
the
this is a
federal government.
very
And I
crucial
said, now you
point.
really think they're
The current
vetting your
crisis,
Afghan
the
refugees,
calamity
right?
playing
But
out on
the
our
point
border,
was,
hour
he
after
asked,
hour, day after day,
what can I
is the
do
result of a planned,
when they're
purposeful,
literally
and
flying them in and
premeditated
landing at one of
crusade
our airports?
carried
I'm
out by the
like,
Biden
I don't know,
administration.
do you have
In
a National
2020,
Guard here?
President
Do you
Trump
have
had in
State
place
Guard? Yes.
a brilliant
Well, what if
series
100 of
of
them were at the
domestic
airport,
reforms and
and when the
interlocking
plane
international
lands and it's
agreements
taxing,
that allowed us to
your
deport
National
any
Guard
illegal
vehicles
alien
with
from
National
any
Guard
country at
troops
any
are there.
time
They say,
for
yeah,
any
no,
reason
nobody gets
whatsoever
off this
without
plane.
delay.
You take that crap,
included
you take
remain in
right back
Mexico,
off, you go
safe
land
third
in someone
agreements,
else's state.
asylum
And if you
bars,
land
Title
here
42
again,
as just a few
we're going to have
examples of
legal
what
issues
President
with you.
Trump
I'm going to
had
take whoever's
ingeniously
in
put
charge of
into
this
place.
thing into custody.
Joe Biden
How's that?
set about dismantling
Does
each
he have the
and every
authority to
one
do
of
it?
these
You're damn
policies
right he
that
does.
seal the border and keep us
Because
safe.
they
For the
don't
sole
meet, first of all, the legal
purpose of
definition
aiding
of a
and abetting
refugee.
the largest
Number one.
wave of
Number
illegal
two,
immigration in
they're
human
being
history.
brought
And so
in.
it is
The
literally
FBI
true.
is telling them
It
they're
is
vetted.
actually the case
How are you
that
vetting
Joe
them?
Biden
How are you
is
vetting people that
complicit
don't know
with
their own birthdays?
global smuggling
I can
and
tell you
global
from being over
trafficking
there,
on the largest
most people who
scale
grew up in
in human
Afghanistan,
history.
they don't know their own birthday. You want to know
So,
why
Stephen,
most of their
millions of people are
birthdays
coming
are
across the border. Where are they all
January
gonna go?
1st of
Where are they all
some
gonna
year?
live?
Because nobody knows,
Well,
because
we know
nobody
from
cares.
the
And
very
you're going to
secret
vet them
flights
how?
that
What
this network has
system in
exposed.
Afghanistan do they
And from
have
my own
to vet their
sources
people?
throughout
None.
the Department of Homeland
We
Security,
can't even keep Al
that they're
Qaeda,
being
Hezbollah,
settled
ISIS,
in
and
every
Hamas
single
guys
state all
out
across
of the
this
U.S.
country.
government.
Some
And
of
you're
it
going
is
to tell me
being
you're
done
going to
directly
vet
by the
somebody
federal
living
government,
in a village in
others
Afghanistan,
indirectly
doesn't know their,
through
give me a break.
non-governmental
So there
organizations
are
with the support,
legal ways,
cooperation, and in many
but
cases
what it
financing
requires
of the federal
is
government. And what
knowledge
that
and
means is
courage.
that you are going
And
to
I haven't
see,
seen
and you are in
one
fact now
governor
seeing,
yet do
school
anything
districts across
like
the
this.
country
Not
being
one.
completely overwhelmed,
But
needing
these are
translators, needing
things
extra
that
resources, and
need
no
to be
funding to
done
pay
at
for
the
it. Our
local
hospital system
and state
crashing,
level. It can
uncompensated
be
care
done.
soaring through
And
the
all
roof.
it
That means higher
requires are
premiums for you
citizens
and for your
to
family.
put the
Our
branding
police
iron to
departments
the
are completely
backside
overwhelmed
of these
by the
governors and
influx. And of
county
course, the
officials.
drugs that are coming across
Proverbially
as a result
speaking,
of this,
of
and the
course.
drug dealers and drug traffickers that are entering our communities unimpeded are slaughtering our
In your
citizens
program,
by the
Tucker,
tens of thousands.
we are
Each of
launching
their deaths
a new
preventable,
initiative
but for
in my
this
legal
lawless
foundation known as the Center for Legal Equality. And we will provide free legal representation to any client we take who has been denied a job, a promotion, a benefit because of their skin color. Companies, particularly the largest companies in this country, have embedded systemic racism into their operation. As one example, Morgan Stanley has an internship for college students that explicitly says this is the path, this is the ladder to get you a career in finance. One catch though, you can't be white, you can't be Asian, and it might also help if you're LGBTQ+. Companies across America have identical policies to these. They are illegal, they are immoral, they are racist, they are bigoted, they're poison that hurts everyone on every side of the equation. And the only way to stop them is in federal court. So we're creating a hotline. You can go to it at aflegal.org/hotline. That's aflegal.org/hotline. And tell us what happened to you or your friend. Our attorneys will reach out. And again, any client we take, we will fight these woke corporations 100% for free. You will never pay a dime.
That's amazing. So why isn't anyone else noting that civil rights law explicitly forbids private sector employers from making hiring or promotion decisions based on race? There's no gray area in this. It is flat out illegal. Why is nobody else suing?
I'm shocked at the dearth, the radical absence of lawsuits that have allowed this to perpetuate, to become a cancer, replete through our entire corporate and financial system. I suspect it's fear more than anything else. People are afraid of coming out and saying, no, you cannot discriminate against somebody because they're Asian, or because they're white, or because they're Jewish, or because they're straight, or because they're Christian. Of course you can't. It's absolutely illegal and unconstitutional, and I'll see you in court. So I'm saying it. Tonight on your program, aflegal.org/hotline. Tell us your story. Help us fight
What
back
about
for
you? Are you allowed this latitude? No. You're merely in the way. Keep your nose clean, Mr. American.
Unbelief. We live in a country right now, think about this, Joe Biden's America, where we have puberty blockers for school children, but we don't have baby formulas for babies. We live in a country where every illegal alien in the world who shows up at our border will be guaranteed baby formula on demand, but American mom and dads cannot feed their own children. And the best ideas they have coming out of the Democratic Party are from Bette Midler, who apparently does not realize that it's not a light switch you can just turn on and off to create breast milk. I won't say any more than that. But I mean, this is absolute madness. And on a serious note, I want to say that for parents whose children have milk allergies and other food allergies, I mean, this is sheer terror that they're living through. We're the one formula that worked for their kid that they finally found, that will finally let them sleep at night, not cry at night, be happy and flourish, that they cannot get this formula. And the response from Jen Psaki was, oh, well, if you're out of formula, just call your doctor. Well, here's the thing. I love my pediatrician, but I can safely say, if I called my pediatrician and said, hey, do you have a couple of weeks of formula we can borrow? They would hang up on me, and I would probably not be invited back again.
Oh, but they have a website, Miller. They said everybody needs to go to the government website to find out where the formula is. But I get it. I have a newborn, too. He's just over 1. And we tried a bunch of different formulas. He didn't like one, he didn't like the other, and we finally found one that stuck. And it's not an easy process.
Yes.
Now, are you actually feeding your own babies, or do you have nannies that do that for you, or you just make your wife do it?
I fed my baby just a couple hours before I came here, although I give my wife all the credit. But we went through the same thing you're describing.
Yeah.
Where, we worked and we tried every different thing.
Yeah, they're picky.
And
I think my baby's a snob. He's a food snob. He only likes a certain formula.
But it was a process.
Right. It took a while, and it took a lot of money.
If I couldn't get the formula that my baby needed, I would be in an emotional...
Is suing the public school system on behalf of a group of parents. They accuse the district of moral corruption of children and its deliberate, quote, almost gleeful violations of parental rights. A statement reading this: parents across the country should be shocked and horrified to see a once respected school system systematically destroyed, all because the district believes that it has more of a right than parents to tell a captive audience of students what...
It almost feels like we're losing our country. But I think that's why I love Thanksgiving so much, because it sort of forces me to pause and to put my head up and look around and to realize the blessings that are abundant in my life today and every day. So I'm going to share with you 10 things that I am grateful for over these last 365 days. This is in no particular order. Number one, I am so grateful for the birth of my daughter, Louise Marie Farmer. She is absolutely perfect. It was a perfect birth, perfect delivery. She has been an absolute dream of a child. She sleeps through the night since the moment that we brought her home. She never cries. She fusses only when she's hungry. It just doesn't even make sense to me how lucky I got with this child. I mean, every child is a blessing, but I'm telling you, Louise is an extra blessing because she is just so gracious and kind, and she just loves her big brother. She's always smiling. And I always say that when she smiles, she has this way of looking at you, and then a smile spreads across her face, and it's like she's seeing an old friend. She instantly warms the room when she smiles, which is very often. Another thing that I am grateful for, this would be number two, is I'm grateful for the South. I was saying this yesterday as I was racing to the grocery store to make dinner, and I was talking with my cousin, and we had just, I hate to say this, I hate to admit this, you're not even going to want to hear me say this, but we put up our Christmas tree yesterday. I know, I'm so against it, but somehow the South and the rednecks have gotten me on board with early Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving. Why? Because Christmas makes me happy. It makes you happy. So yesterday, in true redneck tradition, we put up our Christmas tree and our lights early, and we listened to Christmas music, and it was wonderful. My son was jumping around and dancing. Christmas is wonderful, and I'm just grateful to be down in the South, not just because they put up their Christmas decorations way too early, but because the people have their values right. As a girl that grew up in Connecticut and, of course, was programmed to think that the South was backwards and that the South was doing things wrong, I am now an adult who realizes that these people in these small towns around Tennessee, they're getting something right. And that something right is family and togetherness. So I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Asian, or because they're white, or because they're Jewish, or because they're straight, or because they're Christian. Of course you can't. It's absolutely illegal and unconstitutional, and I'll see you in court. So I'm have milk allergies and other food allergies? I mean, this is sheer terror that they're living through. We're the one formula that worked for their kid that they finally found that will finally let them sleep at night, not cry at night, be happy and flourish, that they cannot get this formula. And the response from Jen Psaki was, oh, well, if you're out of formula, just call your doctor.
It almost feels like we're losing our... And Christmas is wonderful, and that something right is family and togetherness. So I'm grateful to be a part of that. The third thing that I'm grateful for when I think about this past year, of course, is another sort of a birth, giving birth to the documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. It was a lot of work, and I was pregnant throughout the entire time that we filmed. And we were able to deliver and create the documentary that I wanted. This was a project that was close to my heart, and to see it received by so many people, to have so many people say, thank you for putting this together, to be a part of an awakening, not just in Black America, but in all of America, to be able to be in a position where I can put forth that sort of work, that I can actually help better society by just exposing truth. I mean, that is the ultimate blessing. Another thing that I'm grateful for, and this is a weird one, but it just sort of came to my mind, and I don't really know where it's going, but I'm grateful that Elon Musk freed the bird. I am grateful that Elon Musk took over Twitter. I know that this moment is so relevant, and why it's relevant may not come entirely into focus immediately, but things are changing. I really do believe that the pendulum is starting to swing, and it starts with just basic speech, being able to say things and not have people tell us that we can't exist for holding a different view. It feels like we won a little bit in that category, like the totalitarian system of social media had to take a loss. And so I'm grateful and I'm hopeful to see where that goes. Number 5, I say this, but I don't say it enough, that I am so grateful for all of you. I mean, the fact that this show is now going 5 days a week is incredible, that we started this and didn't really know what it was going to be. And now we're a 5-day-a-week podcast, and that so many of you tune in to hear what I have to say every single day. I'm grateful that you guys trust me, and more importantly, that you guys have allowed for me to grow. You know, I'm not the same Candace Owens that I was when I first started making YouTube videos. I was probably more naive then, probably for the better. I never really realized how ugly politics could be. And there have been a lot of tremendously difficult moments over these years. Over this year, just as 1 year, it's been very difficult. A lot of peer pressure to say this or to say that if you want to keep your platform.